Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adla Benson-Karp. I'm a mental health therapist, counselor, and a coach. And my private practice is called GEM, Mental Health Therapy and Coaching. My private practice is successful, and I'm loving what I'm doing. But when I started off with my private practice, I actually struggled. Google became my best friend, and I found a whole lot of information online, but very little was based for South Africa. And that's why I decided to write a book, which is this one. It's called Your Journey Begins Now. Start and market your own successful counseling or coaching private practice in South Africa. It is filled with information. It's 348 pages long, and there's examples and there's practices, and your masters are in there. So please get hold of your copy. It is available on Takealot as well as on Amazon. I'll put the link up in the description. The ebook is also available on Amazon, so that will also be on the link down in the description. But what I want to do is I want to tell you about the lady that we're going to talk to today. Her name is Jeanie Cave, and she's from Impact Therapy Center. She's a clinical psychologist, and I cannot wait to introduce you to her, and let's hear what she can teach us and what we can learn from her. See you later. Okay, hello everybody, and thank you so much for joining the channel again. Today we are here with Jeanie Cave, and she's from Impact Therapy Center. And welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you so much, Adna. I'm so excited to be here, and I think this is a fabulous initiative that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, to jump in straight, would you mind just telling us a little bit more about your private practice? What is your speciality?
Okay, so I'm a clinical psychologist in private practice. I've been in private practice for 11 years, and I work from the interactional frame, from the interactional approach, which maintains that our whole world and our whole well-being is made up of what happens in our relationships. When our relationships are optimal and we have success and satisfaction in our relationships, we experience psychological wellness and well-being. And when things go badly in our relationship, we experience dissatisfaction or frustration, we have psychological distress or problems in living. So my focus as an interactional psychotherapist is to assist my clients to come into optimal engagement with their environment. And I look at doing that by focusing on the person as a system. So I do a lot of brain-based therapy to help people become more regulated in their central nervous systems. And I do that by focusing on the person in a system, helping people to become more effective in their communication, more effective in how they run their relationships. And also we take into consideration the system in context, which is what's happening outside of the room, for example, COVID or the socio-political climate, and helping clients to navigate their world and become more optimally engaged with their environment.
Okay, wow, that is wonderful. So you cover quite a lot. And I think it's extremely important, as you said, to actually bring those outside factors in. And, I've seen with a specific client that she was torn apart because, first of all, it was the same month that her mom passed away, that she landed in hospital in ICU. And she actually lost her mom when she was a very young child. And her own child is also very young, and she sat with that fear of losing her life and letting her child go through the same process. And, so it is very important to bring all the environmental factors into therapy and see how it actually affects the people.
Yes, it's context. We have this terrible tradition in psychology and psychiatry of trying to, what we say, artificially isolate a person as a monad. So we want to pluck them out of their environments, and we want to try and understand them in isolation. You've got borderline personality disorder, you've got depression, you've got anxiety. But trying to understand a person without taking into consideration their context is like trying to understand if somebody's appropriately dressed without knowing where they're going. The behavior doesn't make any sense unless we look at it in context, and the context is what happens in the human relationship. The context for human behavior is the human relationship. So exactly like you're saying with your client, the context there being that her mom at the same age the same week was hospitalized and died when she was a young child. And so there, that capsule of trauma was opened up for her. And understanding the context of that is incredibly important.
Yes, yeah, no, it definitely is. Tell me a little bit about your techniques and tools and methods that you use with your clients.
Okay, so we at Impact Therapy Center, we're called Impact because we believe that how we impact on one another determines the nature and quality of our being. And the term was coined by my late mentor, who wrote a book called Impact. So we focus on clients processing the impacts from their environment and also becoming more effective in having their impacts and their intention lined up. So we draw from a wide range of integrative tools and strategies, which we call the integrative interactional approach, from brain-based therapy like hypnotherapy, BWRT, brain spotting. Those are the three that I use mostly. Others in the practice might use EMDR or EMI in addition to that. And then we help the clients to become regulated, and then we use strategic interactional psychotherapy to help clients broaden their role repertoire for how they engage with their relationships. And that can be through talk therapy, it can also be through hypnotherapy, and it can also be through experiential therapies like equine-assisted psychotherapy, in which the client engages with the horses and learns how to become a more effective communicator in the safe and controlled environment with the horse.
Okay, beautiful. We're going to touch on the horse subject a little bit later, but what age groups do you work with?
So in our center, we work from 3 until the end of the life course. I myself only work with adults upwards, so people from about 18 or 19 years and older. But my associates in the practice also work with children and adolescents. In the past, I have also myself worked with children and adolescents. But I like to say I like to work smart and not hard, and working with children and adolescents is very hard work. So I leave that to my very talented associates who've got a lot more energy and cares for it. I'm just kidding. It's more just in terms of time arrangement. I work mornings only. So I finish at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. every day, and children like to come in the afternoon. But I do kind of feel that, when you're starting out, to work with a broad range of people is very optimal. But as you get to know yourself a little bit better, you kind of choose an age group of people that you prefer working with.
Yes, no, definitely. Now, within your practice, do you also offer different other products or courses that, or even for other counselors that you offer?
Yes, absolutely. So a big part of my focus as a clinician, as a clinical psychologist, as a mental health care professional, is not only assisting my clients to self-actualize, but also working with other people in the mental health care profession, psychologists, registered counselors, and life coaches, and helping them gain interactional psychotherapy treatment skills that they can use to become more effective in their practices. So I always say I've got a group that I coach in private practice. We meet monthly. It's called Private Practice Perfect. And we focus on 3 things, because I say a successful private practice depends on 3 things: finding clients, keeping clients, and having mechanisms that ensure that your clients pay. So running your business effectively. And in terms of providing the training, so there we have Impact Training Center. That's about ensuring that you keep your clients, because it's no good fishing from the same pond every single day and having a one-off session with this client, one-off session with that client. We know that meaningful human behavior cannot change in 1 session or 2 sessions, especially when you're working in private practice. If you're working in an emergency situation like government care, where you might only see the person, you do what you can. But in private practice, it's more optimal to have a series of, in our paradigm, in our modality, we say between 16 and 20 sessions with a client. Psychodynamic therapists might say 45 to 60, and other people, brief solution focused therapy, might say 10 to 12. But you really need to be able to retain a client for the duration of a successful treatment process, whether that's therapy or counseling. And I use therapy and counseling interchangeably, because in both instances, you're affecting change in the way a person does something. So when I say therapy, I mean counseling too. And so focusing on assisting people to become more effective by being well trained is an important part of retaining your clients and offering value in the service. The modern mental health care user doesn't sit in therapy for 20 years before they see change. They want to see change in a short amount of time, because time and money are limited resources. And so Impact Training Center, we've got a variety of different courses that we offer to help people become effective in the therapy and counseling work that they're doing. And if you like, in a moment, or when you're ready, I can show you our website and show you some of the courses that we offer.
Yeah. I just also want to mention there that we are going to put the links in the description below the video, so people could also just click on there and go and snoop around. But please.
Super. Would you like to show you the
Yes,
website?
please.
Okay, super. We're very excited. We've just launched completely online learning that can happen in your own time. So this is our homepage. So we offer two types of training. We offer live training, which happens on Zoom, except for the equine-assisted psychotherapy training. All our training happens on Zoom. And then we also have now, which is very exciting, online training that can happen in your own time. At your own convenience, so that you don't have to take time out of your busy practice to be able to do the training. So we are registered with the Health Professions Council of South Africa, but as you can see here, we are also happy to work with coaches and all sorts of mental health care professionals. The Health Professions Council rule for accreditation of our courses is that any professional may attend our courses as long as they are practicing within their scope. So all of our courses here are also appropriate for counsellors and for coaches as well. So here we've got our online on-demand courses that you can do in any time. This one is free. It's anybody can do it. It's a free introduction to the interactional approach to psychotherapy. We can learn more about the interactional approach and why it's such an effective approach suited to the modern mental health care user. And then this is our online IPA level 1. So this is a full course. So you'll be able to do an interactional pattern analysis, which is a psychodiagnostic tool that helps you organize your observations about a client, understand and formulate the link between their presenting complaints and the underlying mechanisms that need change, and also design treatment strategies in order to assist that client. And on IPA level 1, we help you to formulate an accurate IPA, so to really understand the interactional patterns of this client. And then we've still got some Zoom training coming up this year. We've got IPA level 2 and IPA level 3 that are still coming up, which is very exciting. You can do, these are live Zoom trainings. IPA level 2 will be available online on demand later in the year. Interactional couples therapy is coming online on demand. Person-centered interviewing as well. And this is a very, very, very good course for people in counseling to do, because it also not only helps you with this very, very valuable tool of doing the person-centered interview, which is quite an art and quite a technique that you really have to master, but also helps you set up an effective relationship with your clients, an effective helping relationship in which you mobilize the client's own agency and their own control without you taking responsibility for them, which anybody that's been in this kind of special helping kind of relationship has felt, that interpersonal pressure to fix and solve and take responsibility for the client. So that's a great one. And then this is our in-person training, and this is our interactional approach to equine-assisted psychotherapy, which is a beautifully effective form of interpersonal interactional psychotherapy. And then just to show you a little bit of what the online course would then look like. So you go into your accounts, whether it's the introduction is over there, and you'll see the introduction in just a moment. It shows us the video that you're going to be learning from. And then there's also a multiple choice questionnaire where if you answer all the questions 70% correctly, then you can get a certificate to show that you have done that course. Obviously, we're only accredited for the Health Professions Council, so you'll only get the points if you are also registered with the Health Professions Council. But it's nice to have the certificates and show that, okay, I am interactionally trained, and this is what I know how to do. Just as part of your role repertoire. See, it's taking quite some time to load, so maybe we'll have a look at it later. But it really is such a nice format and such a nice way of learning where you can do it in your own time, but it's still very interactional because we've taken footage from live training and we've edited it into this online learning format. And in that process, you get the benefit of learning through the interactions that happen within the group, but you can do it in your own time and it doesn't have to cost you 2 days out of your practice to be able to do the training. So that's a big part of what we offer here at Impact Therapy, not only growing our clients, but also growing mental health care professionals, because what's good for the profession of mental health care, whether you're a counselor or whether you're a coach or whether you're a psychologist, is having high quality, effective professionals that give the profession a good reputation. And that in turn is good for each professional.
Yes, yes. No, I absolutely love that. I'm going to have a look at those courses myself, to tell you the honest truth. Now, with everything that you offer, you must have started somewhere. What did you study and where did you study and what route did you take?
Okay, so I went the very traditional route because I didn't know any better and I didn't know there were other options.
Mm.
So I knew from about the age of 14, 15 that I wanted to be a psychologist. And so immediately after school, I went and did a bachelor's degree in psychology from what was then known as RAU. So giving away my age there. We were the last group to graduate from RAU, but still graduated from RAU. And then I did an honors degree at the University of Johannesburg. And
Mm.
then I did my master's at UNISA. When you do a master's in psychology at UNISA, it's not a correspondence degree, it's not distance learning. We went into the Pretoria campus in Mcilneuk every day for 2 years. And it's not easy to go from, for those that don't know, to go from your honors to masters. It's quite a difficult selection process. And there's lots of other different routes that you can take to being a mental health care professional. But like I said, I didn't know any different. So I went the traditional route, and I was very fortunate that I was selected in my first year of applications to UNISA, and I fitted in very well there because it's a systemic university. The paradigm is systems theory and interactional therapy, and my brain just really works well with it. It just really gelled. And then from the 2 years at UNISA Masters, and then from there I did a year of internship at Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital, and then a year of community service also at Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital. And from there on, I started a private practice. At that time, I was also working part-time at a private neuropsychological rehab center where I worked with neuro rehab.
Mm.
And I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the therapy cases in my private practice,
Mm.
and started focusing exclusively on therapy. That having been said, I must say that when I left my master's degree and I was working at Sterkfontein, I actually didn't know how to do therapy at all. And in fact, in my master's degree, they told me that I was really, really, really bad at therapy, and they're probably going to ask me to sign a contract promising never to do therapy
Oh, shame.
ever again because I was so bad. And then at Sterkfontein, I started in the forensic units, and I started with a lot of assessment because that was very safe for me. I could read the manual, I could do the test, get the numbers, and it would be very understandable. I didn't understand therapy.
Mm.
And then halfway through my time at Sterkfontein, I started working in one of the units that was very therapy based. And because I didn't know how to do therapy, I just focused on having a relationship with the patients.
Mm.
And now I realize that that's actually the basis for all therapy, is to have a relationship with your client.
Yes.
And then when I started my private practice and people started paying me for therapy, I realized I need to learn how to do it properly. And then I found my mentor, Charles Forster, who's since passed away, and he taught me how to do interactional psychotherapy. And the reason I share this with you is because, therapy and coaching is not a social relationship. We actually say that it's asocial. You have to respond in a different way to how other people respond, because how a person deals with their relationship with you is how they deal with all their relationships.
Mm.
And so when they get that social and predictable response, it actually reinforces their behavior. It reinforces even the behavior that they want to change. So when we're working in coaching or therapy or counseling, what we have to do is we have to respond in a different way. We have to respond in what we say is an asocial way. And we never get training on how to do that in our life because all of our training is social.
Yes.
So
Very true.
therapy, coaching, counseling is not an intuitive process. It's a skill that must be learned.
Mm.
And having a framework that is tangible, systematic, and semi-structured helps you to learn how to engage in that special kind of helping relationship to assist your clients to change their behavior in the way that they are wanting to.
Yes.
So that's where I began, and I've been in private practice for 11 years ever since.
Oh, no, that's absolutely wonderful. And you've just touched on some experience that you had. Did you go on into a sole practitioner for your own, or did you first go into group practice?
So I started out on my own. I just rented a single room in a multidisciplinary building, but we all worked independently. And so I started out completely on my own, and had to learn everything the hard way, from billing to managing the business side of the relationship to file keeping to all of that. I learned the hard way on my own. And it was quite a grueling process in which I lost a lot of time and a lot of money learning about, what not to do and making a lot of mistakes. But for me, it really worked in that I've always been quite an independent functioner, and I've always enjoyed creating structure for myself. And at that stage, there weren't that many opportunities to join group practices. There weren't that many group centers going, and if you did join, it was in more of an employment position in which your earning opportunities were a lot more limited. And so I
Yes.
decided to go on my own. And then 4 years ago, I decided to start the center and give other people the opportunity of joining an established center, but still having the benefit of having their own practice and having the same earning potential as you would in your own practice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, you said earlier on that you felt the need to become a psychologist when you were 14 years old. Did you always feel that drive to it, or was it something that happened? Sorry, not to get too personal, but something that happened that drove you to actually find that passion?
I have absolutely no problem sharing. I always say, you've got to be a real person, and share authentically. You can't expect your clients to share with you if you don't strategically sharing with them as well. So I had been quite interested. My dad had a number of psychology books that I'd sort of picked up when I was 14 and started reading, and thought that that was quite a cool profession and seemed quite interesting.
Mm.
And then when I was 15, my sister passed away from leukemia in the same year that my mother had breast cancer. And my family went to go see a psychologist. The remaining members of my family, my dad, my mum, and I, we went to go see a psychologist, and he really, really, really helped us get through that very difficult time. And that sort of then sealed the deal for me that this is something that I really wanted to do. And then in grade 11, I job shadowed the same psychologist and thought that this was really cool. And then in matric, I was kind of like, should I study medicine or should I study psychology? And then I matriculated in 2001, and the day before my science final was 9/11. And I was going to take a gap year the year afterwards and decide if I wanted to do psychology or medicine and take my time to apply and all the rest. And then 9/11 happened, and I was going to go overseas and au pair. And then my parents said, no, it's going to be World War III, so you're not allowed to go overseas. You have to study next year or you have to work. And so like any 18-year-old, I was like, I don't want to work. I'm going to study. And I could still at that stage get into psychology because I hadn't applied the year before for medicine. And and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I also fell in love with the challenge. They told us of the 1,500 people in Psychology 101, maybe one or two of us will actually become psychologists because of the selection process. And I loved the challenge of that. So it was just really a perfect fit. And then having the difficult life experiences that I did at a very formative age in terms of developing your adult identity, and having the positive experience with the psychologist really consolidated for me that this is what I want to do.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. But quickly jumping over to something else, to talk about your private practice, what challenges did you face when you started out?
The biggest challenge that I would say I faced was I wasted a lot of time with ineffective marketing. So printing out flyers and going to go sit in doctors' offices and trying to, get them to refer to you. That was a complete waste of time. If you can develop a relationship with the doctor and is usually out of that context of trying to introduce yourself, then that can really work. I've got a fabulous GP that probably single-handedly built my center, my practice from the beginning because he was referring to me a lot. But printing flyers and that kind of thing, it just didn't work. Having a good Google AdWords campaign, so having a very strong online format and networking with other professionals who are going to refer, that's probably the best. But otherwise, the biggest challenge that I had was not wanting to spend money. So, just coming out of internship and ComServe, you don't have a lot of money. So I wanted to try to do everything myself. I wanted to build the website myself. I wanted to bill myself. I wanted to reconcile my accounts myself. And I wanted to do absolutely everything myself and spend as little money as possible. And that actually ended up costing me a lot of money because then I wasn't as on top of my accounts as I could have been, because I'm not a mathematical person, or else I would have become a chartered accountant. So I'm a words person. That's why I became a psychologist. So trying to do something that actually wasn't my skill set was another challenge in terms of managing the business. And then the other thing that I found the most challenging was managing the boundaries with my clients. And from doing things like not allowing them to run overtime. When it's the end of your session, it's the end of your session. When they arrive late, still ending the session on time, even that means having a shorter session. Charging for late cancellations, charging what I deserve to earn. So having those boundaries and also not feeling that sense of responsibility to change your client's experience. being attached to progress, whereas now I'm more attached to doing good quality work. The progress is not within my grasp. The progress is within their grasp. So I don't take responsibility for it. I take responsibility for what I can control, which is doing good quality work. So I'd say those would be the three things that I would have struggled with the most, is wasting time with ineffective marketing, trying to do everything myself and losing a lot of money in the process, and then managing the interpersonal part of having this very unique kind of hybrid relationship that is both a personal relationship and a business relationship, and realizing that having the effectively run boundaries is actually part of the treatment, because in the process you are modeling for the client of how to have effectively run relationships, of which boundaries is an incredibly important part.
Yes.
And they're not feeling guilty about having effective boundaries with my clients.
Yes. No, it's healthy for you as a counselor, as a psychologist, you have to have those boundaries.
And it's also good for the client.
I think in the beginning for me it was very difficult because the people, especially, I call the first session the verbal diarrhea session, where they just they get everything out. And as soon as the hour mark comes, we're just starting, where I could actually ask questions and so forth, and really starting the session. And before I know it, it's like an hour and a half later, and we're still sitting there. And that's when I decide, no, you have to stick to your time.
Yes, because the client otherwise, first of all, they don't learn to value your time. They think that you are overly available, and then they don't value your time. And if they don't value your time, they're not going to value your process. So knowing that they've got to stick within the boundaries. And in the interactional approach, we say the process that we follow is that first of all, we identify what those clients' ineffective strategies are. And that can happen in that verbal diarrhea part. You don't actually need to ask any questions. The client will tell you everything that you need to know. And then we then say that we extinguish those ineffective strategies through non-reinforcement. So we're essentially saying to the clients, indirectly, that the way that you've dealt with your other relationships that is causing you pain, you can't deal with our relationship in the same way. You have to find new strategies of dealing with our relationship that's going to broaden your role repertoire to help you deal with your other relationships.
Absolutely.
That puts the clients into a crisis in which they don't know now how to deal with us. But because we've handled the relationship in a boundaried, safe way, and what we say a person-centered way, that it's a safe crisis in which they're now free to experiment with new ways of engaging. And then the fourth phase of that is that you, through how you have the relationship with them, how you carry yourself, how you treat the relationship, how you engage, you give them actually content for broadening their tools and broadening their role repertoire for how to deal with relationships. And then the final phase is to reinforce that positive change with positive feedback from you. So it's very important not only for your mental health, or else you're going to go mad. For your mental health, you're going to burn out, you're going to go mad, you're going to feel frustrated, you're going to end up being resentful. It's not only important for you as the counselor or the coach or the psychologist, but it's very important for the clients if you're going to help them achieve. You can't say to your client, oh, you need to have better boundaries, but then you have bad.
Yes. No, I agree with you 100%. Are there any challenges that you're facing now with clients or with your practice?
I think the biggest challenge that I've faced, not so much with my practice, but with the centre, is finding a balance of supporting my associates to be very effective in their practices without them becoming dependent and reliant on me to run their practices, to do their work for them. Like I said, I can do step number one. I can help you find clients. I can find them for you. I can bring them to you, and I can make sure that they pay, but I can't be you. I can't be you in the therapy session. So for me, it's been, a challenge. And I've got a business coach. So I see somebody that's actually a coach that helps me with the business side of things. And I've gone through a number of changes in my business model that changes the dynamic and the relatedness between me and my associates to encourage and mobilize them to be more independent and take more responsibility for their practices. And at the same time, I offer them the support. So it's kind of like the same challenge that I had with clients in the beginning of helping and then ending up taking responsibility. That has now been a challenge of the same with my associates. But I would say other than that, over the 11 years, and I mean the changes to the business model that my business coach has helped me with have really made a huge difference. But over 11 years, you kind of learn, how to run a practice effectively. So I wouldn't say that right now there are any other challenges that we're facing.
Yes. No, absolutely. And it's always good to give that control back. You
Mm.
can only, that's one thing I always say, is you can only control what you can control. You
Yeah, what you've
cannot
got access
control
to.
other people.
Yes, absolutely. If only we could.
Oh,
Life would be so
absolutely.
easy.
Okay.
But we
Now,
can't.
any lessons that you learned along the way that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah. I would say one of the first ones is, if you are starting out, is to start as you mean to continue, because it's much harder to change structure than it is to just implement the right structure from the beginning.
Mm.
So in our business, it's like, if you want to be medical aid forever, then go claim medical aid. But if you want to eventually go cash practice route, go cash practice route. So start as you mean to continue. No clients is the other lesson would be that not every client is worth keeping. And that you've got to remember that it's a voluntary relationship in which you also have a say whether you want to participate. And the clients that push your boundaries, give you grey hair, they actually threaten the survival of your business, because they put you into an exhausted state in which you offer poorer quality of service to your other clients. So don't be afraid to lose clients. Not everybody is ready to be helped. People will be helped when they're ready, not before, not after. And not every client is worth keeping. Clients that don't pay, clients that push your boundaries, even clients that sometimes abuse you, you don't have to continue to see them.
Yes.
I would say that another lesson is that you've got to spend money to make money. So invest in yourself, invest in your business, have proper structures in place, have proper software, have proper marketing, have all of those structures in place that give your business the best chance for success. But I'd say that the most important thing, that why do we get into this profession of mental health care, is because we want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
We care about people, we want to help people. And that typically puts us into quite a bad money mindset, where we feel almost a little bit guilty about charging money for the service that we are offering. But it's to remember that it's not a social relationship, it's an asocial relationship, it's a professional relationship. So the fourth and most important thing is to value your time, to value that all the time that you spent watching this episode, the time that you've spent in training, the time that you spent researching or reading something, all of that time, all of those years of training goes into that session with that client. And you are offering them a unique experience that they're not going to get in a social context. And so it's your responsibility to value that time and value your professionalism. So that for me would be the most important thing. Stick with the time limits that you set. Charge a reasonable amount. Don't be afraid to charge what you're worth. Make sure you charge for late cancellations. Make sure you have effective boundaries and that you respect your time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. No, those are very, very handy tips. I really appreciate that. Now, you already told us about your studies and the experiences that you had. But this is where the horses come in. You work with animal therapy, and that's where you use the horses in therapy. But if somebody is interested in doing that type of, bringing animals into therapy, I know in my case, I've got a little doggy called Tequila that she cuddles up, especially when I work with adolescents, that she cuddles up and she calms them straight away. But how do people actually know how to use animals in therapy and actually do it the right way?
Okay, so yeah, we know that the very presence of animals lowers our blood pressure, decreases our heart rates, releases endorphins in our central nervous system. And when we're working with dogs, there's definitely that therapeutic benefit. When we're working with the horses, there's another layer to that, which is that the horses become sort of interactional group members that give the client feedback about their communication in real time, in the here and now. But to answer your question, it's like, how do you know how to do anything in therapy or counseling or coaching? Is through training, because it's an asocial relationship. It is not intuitive. It is not implicit. It is communication that has to be learned. And all of the heroes that you look up to, the Esther Perels, the Jay Haleys, the Matthew Hasseys, whoever you, or what's that other guy, Jay, whoever you look up to, that is like your icon, they've learned by learning from other people, by learning about this very particular kind of helping relationship that is based on years and years and years of research and years and years and years of practice of people. It is not something that a person just magically knows how to do. So if you do want to work with animals in therapy, if there isn't an organization offering training in the particular animal that you want, go and sign up to a university's library and go and search for journal articles and read the journal articles, go and find books, go and watch YouTube videos, go and immerse yourself into the technique, because it is technique based, into the technique that other people have done, so that it's not implicit. And anything that you might have done intuitively, when you take that intuitive action and you make it explicit, you turn that tool into a power tool. So you go from unconscious competence to conscious competence, which makes you that much more effective. So I'd say read, 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 listen, 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 watch, watch, watch. And most importantly, if you have the opportunities, is to train, train, train.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it won't always go smooth, because when you start out, it is going to be ups and downs, and you're going to bump your toe so here and there, but don't lose that faith in yourself and your knowledge and your passion to actually bring that animal into your practice and give your clients a different experience.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so many different ways of being in this profession that it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be cookie cutter.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier on that you registered with the HPCSA. Are there any other councils that you can recommend that people actually register with? I know I'm registered with CCSA.
Yes, I think that that is the main one that people register with. There's another one that starts with an A, but I'll have to chat with my counselors that counsel me for supervision of what it is called, that people can register with. I'm not sure
Yeah,
100%.
it's a ship or something like that.
I think it's like that. You can register with that.
ASCHP.
Yes, it's the one that I know of. Otherwise, just the Health Professions Council, if you are, and I think that not a lot of people know about becoming a registered counsellor, that you can do an honours degree, and then do a special course, which is the B-Psych, and you can become a registered counsellor and register with the Health Professions Council, and then you can claim for medical aid, which is a huge benefit. It's a huge subsidy that really helps you build your practice. If you aren't already qualified or you aren't already working as a coach, then that's quite a nice option to do as well. But those are the only organizations that I know of.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Those are exactly the ones that I was thinking of. I know about the one for coaches is Commensa, that they can register with that one. But each council has got their own criteria that they need to reach before they can actually register with a certain council, if I'm correctly. But now, how do people actually get hold of you? Are you on social media? I know that you've got a website. I love your website, so by the way, it is absolutely gorgeous. And if anybody can get a good example of a very effective website, it is yours.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had
And I
to
must say, while you say that, it was built by Roger from Chatterbox Media. So Roger from Chatterbox Media is the guy to talk to if you want a beautiful website like mine. And I want everyone to have a beautiful website, because what's good for the profession is good for the professional. So go ahead and make beautiful websites also.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so but how do people get hold of you?
They're welcome to send me a WhatsApp. I think maybe you'll share my contact details after this. They're welcome to send me a WhatsApp, or they're welcome to send me an email. We are on social media, Impact Therapy Center. You can also go to our website. We've got a Facebook group that you're also welcome to join. And if you send me your contact details or send me an email, I can send you the links and the details for that.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely put all the links in the description below the video, and people can just click on there and go through to your social media and to your website.
And I am about to launch a new platform, a new forum called Just Ask Jeanie, because people do just ask me all the time. So I decided to say Just Ask Jeanie, and it's all about running private practice and being a private mental health care professional. And that's going to launch within the next couple of weeks. You can already go and follow on Instagram, and from the Instagram page, I'll be sharing the private Facebook group details.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Anna.
is there any other additional information that you want to share with everybody that can generate more business for them, or get them more hooked, or get them learned, or even generate business for you?
I think that, it's just really suffice it to say, it honestly takes a village, and you need to have a team. So have a good team behind you. Make sure that you have a strong marketing campaign. Make sure that you're networking with other professionals in your field that can refer. And then make sure that you still remain curious about human beings. Watch your reality TV programs. I love watching reality TV to watch the patterns of interaction between people. Read those books. Make sure that you are working on all three of those dimensions, finding clients with your marketing and also with providing good quality to other clients, so that word of mouth, finding clients, keeping clients by making sure that you are well trained, that you are having lots of experiences in engaging with other professionals, join groups, join discussion groups, join supervision groups, and then have good business structures and good business principles in place where you can ensure that your clients pay you for your amazing service that you're doing.
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful, Jeanie. I cannot thank you enough for all the
Such a pleasure.
information that you shared. And goodness me, it's, as I said earlier on, I am going to look at your courses definitely and subscribe to them. So that is a given. I do think though that we can never stop. Sorry, we can never stop learning. And
Never.
even if we feel that we're confident in something, always go and read. Always go and do your research. There's always new information out there that can benefit you, but not only you. At the end of the day, you want your clients to benefit.
Yeah, that's exactly why we're doing it. And I learn so much every time I facilitate a training, every time I interact with one of my groups, I learn so much too. And just in line with that, what you're saying, I always say to my clients that come to me for supervision, mental health care professionals that come to me for supervision, that come to my groups, I always say a healthy dose of imposter syndrome is actually your friend. Don't think that because you've got imposter syndrome, you're not going to be good at this job. In this job, as soon as you think you know, that is when you're going to see your bum. So always be self-reflective, always be curious, always be the student, always have that growth mindset and not that fixed mindset, because as soon as you think you know, that is where you're going to, the pawpaw's going to hit the fan. So a little bit of that imposter syndrome of just reflecting on yourself, questioning yourself, even a little bit of second guessing yourself is not actually your enemy. So you don't have to think that because you've got a little bit of imposter syndrome, you can't do this work. It's actually your friend because it helps keep you in that learning mindset, which I think is so valuable, like you're saying, Anna.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, every now and then I actually refer back to the studies that I completed already, just to go and refresh. And
Absolutely.
I mean, together with that is your what are those
CPD.
points? Thank you. Yeah, those points. You know, I love going for those courses. It just keeps me fresh. And
Absolutely.
yeah, but thank you so much. I really appreciate your
Having
time
me.
and everything that you've shared with all of us.
It is an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, and good luck to everybody out there. And Anna, you keep up your good work as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And that was Jeanie Cave from the Impact Therapy Center. I hope you learned a lot. I'm sure, as you can see, I am flabbergasted. I have learned so much. And please listen to her, listen to the tools that she shared with you. Go and have a look at the courses that she offers. This woman knows what she's talking about. But in the meantime, remember to go and get the copy of your book, of my book, but it can be yours if you buy it. And yes, as I said, I am going to put all the links in the description below. Go and snoop around her website. You can learn so much, especially on how she set her website apart, what information goes where. Have a look at the colors that she used. See what effect, or actually feel what effect the colors that she uses have on you. Does it make you anxious, or does it make you calm, relaxed, and serene? I'll chat to you guys soon, and thank you once again for joining. Bye-bye.